Look up at the night sky. Right now, at this very moment, there are more stars in the universe than grains of sand on every beach on Earth. Billions upon billions of worlds, spinning in the cosmic dance of existence. And yet, despite our most powerful telescopes, our most sensitive radio dishes, and our deepest yearning to find companionship in this vast cosmic arena, we remain alone. But here's what keeps scientists awake at night, what sends shivers down the spines of astronomers and philosophers alike. What if our loneliness isn't temporary? What if the silence we hear isn't because nobody's out there, but because the universe itself has designed the ultimate cosmic prank, ensuring that even if intelligence thrives on a million worlds, we're destined to remain strangers passing in an eternal night? Tonight, I'm going to take you on a journey through 6 profound reasons why we might never shake hands, tentacles, or energy fields with our cosmic neighbors. These aren't pessimistic musings. They're mathematical realities, physical constraints, and philosophical puzzles that challenge everything we assume about our place in the cosmos. By the end of this exploration, you'll see the universe differently. You'll understand why the search for extraterrestrial intelligence might be the most heartbreaking quest humanity has ever undertaken, and why that makes our own existence all the more precious and improbable. When we think about space, our brains simply aren't equipped to grasp the true enormity of what we're dealing with. Our nearest stellar neighbor, Proxima Centauri, sits just over 4 light years away. That sounds manageable until you realize that traveling at the speed of our fastest spacecraft, it would take over 70,000 years to get there. The Milky Way galaxy alone spans 100,000 light years across, containing somewhere between 100 to 400 billion stars, and current estimates suggest there are 2 trillion galaxies in the observable universe. But space isn't the only dimension working against us. Time presents an equally staggering challenge. The universe has existed for 13.8 billion years, Earth for 4.5 billion, and humans in our current form for merely 300,000 years. Our technological civilization capable of sending and receiving signals has existed for less than a century. Imagine the history of Earth compressed into a single calendar year. Humans appear at 11:58 p.m. on December 31st, and our radio-transmitting civilization emerges in the last fraction of the final second. Now consider that another civilization might have risen and fallen billions of years ago, or might emerge billions of years from now. 2 ships passing in the night is an understatement. We're talking about 2 ships passing in different oceans, in different eons, with no map, no compass, and no assurance the other ship even exists. There's an uncomfortable truth we must confront when imagining alien contact. The intelligence gap might be so vast that meaningful communication becomes impossible. Consider that the genetic difference between humans and chimpanzees is less than 2%, yet that tiny gap represents the difference between building particle accelerators and struggling to stack blocks. Now imagine a civilization that's 1,000 years more advanced than us, or 1,000,000 or 1,000,000,000. Would they even recognize us as intelligent? We consider ourselves the pinnacle of earthly intelligence, yet we can't communicate meaningfully with dolphins despite sharing a planet, an ocean, and millions of years of parallel evolution. We've barely decoded the languages of our closest genetic relatives. When we encounter an ant colony, do we attempt diplomatic relations, or do we simply step over it? Perhaps not even noticing it's there. The disturbing possibility is that advanced alien civilizations might view us with the same indifference we show insects. Their science might be to our physics what our physics is to a bird's understanding of aerodynamics. Instinctive, perhaps, but not conscious or theoretical. Their concerns, motivations, and very thoughts could operate on planes of existence we can't even conceive. Mathematics, often proposed as a universal language, might be to them what counting on fingers is to us, a quaint starting point they abandoned eons ago for conceptual frameworks we lack the neural architecture to process. Here's a sobering thought. Civilizations might have a very brief window during which they're detectable to others. We've been broadcasting radio signals into space for less than 100 years, a cosmic eye blink. That expanding bubble of electromagnetic radiation carrying our early television shows and radio programs extends only about 100 light years from Earth, reaching perhaps a few thousand star systems in a galaxy of hundreds of billions. But here's the catch. We're already becoming harder to detect. Modern communications use fiber optics, cables, and focused satellite transmissions rather than broadcast towers spraying signals into space. Our electromagnetic footprint is actually shrinking as our technology advances. In another century or two, we might be virtually invisible to anyone using methods similar to our current SETI efforts. The same likely applies to alien civilizations. They might have passed through their radio loud phase before we developed the technology to listen, or they might enter it after we've abandoned these primitive broadcast methods. Picture two lighthouse keepers on distant shores, each sweeping their beam across the darkness, but never at the same moment, never illuminating each other. The cosmic loneliness isn't necessarily because civilizations don't exist, but because the intersection of their detectable phases and our listening phase might be vanishingly rare, a probability so small it approaches impossibility across the vast timeline of cosmic history. The universe has a fundamental speed limit, the speed of light, roughly 186,000 miles per second. While this seems incredibly fast, it's agonizingly slow on cosmic scales, and it might be the ultimate barrier to contact. Even if we detected a signal from a civilization 1,000 light years away tomorrow, our hello wouldn't reach them for a millennium, and we wouldn't hear their response for another 1,000 years. That's a 2,000-year round-trip conversation. By the time we receive their reply, our civilization might have transformed beyond recognition or ceased to exist entirely. Physical travel faces even more daunting obstacles. Our current understanding of physics suggests that nothing with mass can reach light speed, and even approaching it requires energy expenditures that dwarf anything our civilization can produce. Science fiction has long proposed workarounds, wormholes, warp drives, hyperspace, but these remain purely theoretical, and many physicists doubt they're possible within the laws of physics as we understand them. Even if an alien civilization achieved 10% of light speed, an extraordinary feat, crossing the galaxy would still take 1,000,000 years. The universe, it seems, has imposed a cosmic quarantine, not through malice, but through the fundamental structure of space-time itself. We might share the galaxy with thousands of civilizations, all imprisoned on their respective worlds by the tyranny of distance and the inflexibility of physical law. The Great Filter hypothesis presents perhaps the most chilling explanation for the cosmic silence. Somewhere between the emergence of life and becoming a galaxy-spanning civilization, there exists a filter, a barrier so difficult to pass that it prevents most or all civilizations from making it through. The terrifying question is whether this filter lies behind us or ahead of us. If it's behind us, perhaps the jump from non-life to life, or from simple to complex life, or from life to intelligence, is so improbably difficult that Earth might be one of the only places that made it this far. That would make us extraordinarily special, but also crushingly alone. However, if the filter lies ahead of us, that's far more disturbing. It would suggest that something awaits all technological civilizations that destroys them before they can become truly spacefaring. Nuclear war, biological weapons, artificial intelligence gone wrong, environmental collapse, nanotechnology disasters. The list of potential civilization-ending catastrophes grows with each technological advancement. Perhaps every civilization reaches a point where its technology outpaces its wisdom, where it gains the power to destroy itself before developing the maturity to refrain. The Fermi paradox asks, where is everybody? And the Great Filter offers a dark answer. They destroyed themselves, and we might be next. The absence of detectable alien civilizations might not be a mystery to solve, but a warning to heed. Even if we encounter alien life, we face a fundamental problem. Would we recognize it as life, and would they recognize us? Our entire framework for understanding life is based on a sample size of one, Earth. We look for water, carbon-based chemistry, and DNA because that's what we know, but life elsewhere might operate on completely different principles. Silicon-based life, energy beings, distributed intelligence across a planet's ecosystem, conscious quantum phenomena. These aren't just science fiction speculations, but legitimate possibilities that would challenge our very definition of life and intelligence. We might have already detected alien signals, but dismissed them as natural phenomena because they don't match our preconceptions of what communication should look like. Conversely, what we consider communication might be meaningless noise to them. Our mathematics, our physics, our logic itself might be provincial, specific to beings who evolved under Earth's particular conditions. We assume that intelligence must be somewhat like ours, centralized in individual brains, expressed through language, motivated by curiosity. But these assumptions might be entirely wrong. An alien intelligence might be so distributed, so slow, so fast, or so different in its fundamental operation that we could study it for years without recognizing it as intelligent. We might be surrounded by intelligence, swimming in an ocean of cosmic communication, yet remain as oblivious as a fish is to the radio waves passing through water, lacking entirely the sensory apparatus or conceptual framework to detect what's right in front of us. So here we stand on our small blue world, gazing up at the stars with hope and wonder, armed with mathematics and radio telescopes, yearning for the cosmic phone to ring. The 6 barriers we've explored tonight, the vastness of space and time, the intelligence gap, the narrow window of detectability, the speed of light limitation, the great filter, and the problem of mutual recognition, each one alone might be sufficient to explain the great silence. Together, they paint a picture of a universe that might be teeming with life, yet structured in such a way that contact remains forever out of reach. But before despair sets in, consider this. The very improbability of our situation makes it all the more magnificent. If we are alone, we are the universe's way of knowing itself, the cosmos made conscious. If we're not alone, but permanently separated from our cosmic cousins, then our achievements, our art, our science, our love belong to us alone, unseen and unappreciated by others, but no less real, no less valuable. Every person you've ever known, every human who has ever lived, has done so on that pale blue dot, the only home we've ever known. Perhaps the search for alien intelligence has been teaching us the wrong lesson. Perhaps the point isn't to find someone else out there, but to recognize how precious, how improbable, and how fragile our own existence is. We might be the only voice in our cosmic neighborhood, which means we have a responsibility to keep speaking, to keep learning, to keep exploring, not because we'll necessarily find answers, but because the search itself is what makes us human. The universe may have designed the ultimate isolation, but it has also given us each other. And perhaps that's the most alien miracle of all. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the cosmic unknown. As you leave here today and look up at the night sky, I hope you see it differently, not as a destination we'll reach, but as a mirror reflecting our own rarity and wonder. Good luck to each of you as you navigate this improbable universe. We may be alone, we may be uncontactable, but we have this moment, this civilization, this small, bright candle of consciousness flickering in the dark. Tend it carefully, burn brightly, and never stop wondering. The stars are waiting, even if no one else is. Keep looking up, keep asking questions, and keep marveling at the magnificent accident of your existence. Thank you, and may your own search for meaning, whether in the cosmos or closer to home, bring you wonder and wisdom.